Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Always Be Testing podcast. I'm your host, Ty DeGrange, and I'm really excited to have Jim Nichols today. Hi, Jim.
Hey, I'm so glad to be on. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm excited to talk to you. You've got some awesome affiliate exec marketing experience, so we're going to dive into some fun stuff. How's everything going in your world?
It's been great. Weather is fantastic. Can't complain. As I say, first nice weather in Northern California this year. And business is all right. Last year was such a peculiar year that there were really up months, really down months for the industry as a whole. But this year, I'm just optimistic things are going to be strong.
I love it. I love to hear that. So, for those of you in the audience tuning in, Jim Nichols is a very experienced affiliate marketing leader, executive, consultant. He was the VP of marketing at Conversant. He was a CMO at Partnerize. He was at agencies like Catalyst. He's doing some really interesting things in consulting now. So he's gonna definitely drop some knowledge on us today. Well, awesome, Jim. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I've been involved in affiliates since about 1999, but affiliates never been my whole responsibility. I've always had affiliate plus a variety of other channels, which means I think has been really helpful for me over the last 5 years as affiliate becomes more and more integrated with other industries. I've had more contact with people in those spaces and understand the interplay a little bit better. That to me is really exciting for affiliate because so often affiliate people get become the freak in the corner, right? They're the people who understand their discipline incredibly deeply, but aren't considered integral to the overall marketing plan, and we have to change that.
Absolutely. And you know, have you seen that perception evolve over time? Where is it now? Is it kind of unchanged, or is it changing? What's your
Well, I think for
perspective?
people who haven't been in the business quite as long, the first couple of years of affiliate were just like every other digital channel. It was a mess, right? It was the Wild West. Um, I worked on a brand at one point called Live 365, and everything was running along beautifully. Affiliate was doing very well. At the time, we compensated on cost per click rather than per transaction.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, one month, we got 12 million hits from China at the time, and our service wasn't actually available in China. So we saw the first, the ugly head of fraud to come into our industry. And then the dot bomb happened. And I think our industry got discredited unfairly. I think that digital was a wild west at that point. But starting about 2005, 2006, I think the industry really cleaned up its act and said, you know what, we're going to focus primarily on cost per action. So cost per lead or cost per sale. We're going to bring transparency into this market in as many ways as possible, and we're going to measure accurately. And as a result, I would argue that affiliate is one of the cleanest spaces in media today. I think it's certainly better than most digital channels because we have a verified action, a click, driving a verified visit on a website, driving a verified purchase, and all three of those things connected. And really, there's very little other digital media that can match that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the perception, attitudes, the volume of interest, the quality continues to improve in the space, which has been needed for quite some time. So I love to hear kind of your view of the evolution and how they interact with other channels.
Well, I
Are
think it's
there
one of
other?
the. Oh,
Go on.
sorry. There's one of the
Yeah,
things that I like about your model is that I know affiliate is an integral part of your business, but it's not your only business, right? And so whether you're focusing on acquisition or retention of customers or whatnot, we all have to recognize that affiliate can't operate in a vacuum, and it kind of doesn't. I don't know if you've ever seen the data from CJ where they showed that having affiliate touches in a customer journey drives higher conversion rates, higher average order value, higher average revenue per customer. So all really positive signs and
yeah,
a reflection that affiliate isn't appropriately managed by a freak in the corner, that affiliate has to be an integral part of what we're doing.
Absolutely. And I think you're spot on. I think the thing that people don't often even realize is that it is very multi-channel in itself. It's not even really this, I don't really define it as a channel. And it can interplay so well with other levers. You know, if you're thinking about paid social and whitelisting and influencers, like these things are converging much more than they have in the past. And um, I think they really play well off of each other. Absolutely.
Well, and I think part of that is the entrepreneurial and experimental nature of our industry, that like affiliate people will try anything, right? That like always the first movers on AI, on search, on social media, on everything else, because we see opportunities to potentially drive brand engagement and drive sales in unique ways. And we understand that when you're in a channel that's new, there's a lot less noise, there's a lot less competition in that space. And so affiliate people always move quickly. And that's a great thing to say about a channel as well, right? It's that this is the innovator channel in our space. I think a lot of people sometimes think about affiliate as like a 1.0 technology, because it's pretty simple, right? It's driving traffic for a transaction, but I think it's just the opposite. I think affiliates the most experimental part of our industry, and that's what makes it so exciting to work in.
Yeah, I love it. I definitely think there's a lot of sandbox opportunity. Affiliates themselves are putting skin in the game. They're very innovative. They have to kind of figure things out with limited resources. Oftentimes they're getting paid out on, valued actions only. So they're really incentivized to try new things, be innovative, be on the cutting edge of those emerging channels, like you said.
But I think our industry, the people in it, have to um, be more aggressive in defending our space, right? That I think a lot of times we'll hear things like, "Oh, well, we're subsidizing users, or we're doing this or doing that," and the reality is there some are there some sales that would have been made if, anyway without affiliate? Of course there are. There are some sales that would have been made without television, search, display, video, social media, etc. But I think affiliate has a much better connection to that customer action, whether it be a lead or a purchase or even just consideration, than any other channel does. And we need to tell that story, because if you look under the hood of digital display, for instance, right? There is so much squish in there that, did someone see the ad or didn't they see it? Did it drive the action or not? We're measuring by last view, last click, whatever it all might be. I think affiliates always been a lot more transparent about these things, and we have to assert that we deliver quality rather than trying to play catch up on that. There's no one to catch up to. We're ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think in a lot of cases, I mean, I think if a program is really well managed, in particular, if you're looking at, a last click model, and this is where it can get very complicated, but I would say that you're probably going to be getting a lot of undercounting in the affiliate uh, channel versus, a programmatic in particular, if you're looking at a view through model, which is, has so much room for interpretation and need for testing and at proper attribution incrementality. I think you're spot on there.
I'm so glad you say that, right? Because I think we get into a place in our industry where um, we operate on the defensive, right? And the reality is, we have nothing to be defensive about. This channel is robust, it's strong, it's constantly growing, it's scalable, it's more efficient than search. It has nothing to do with the triopoly of Amazon, Google, and Meta, who suck what 66% of the industry revenue out, right? And there's nothing wrong with those tactics. I'm not saying that, but for a brand that wants diversification, for a brand that's looking for cost per action and pay per performance, I think our channel is the best and has nothing to apologize for.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's so much more opportunity there, and I think being willing and able to have the conversation, have the debate, show the data, show the methodology, talk openly about it is, I think, um, a great path forward. And I think it only enables everyone to be informed and make good decisions on it. So I like where your head's at there for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you brought up last click, right? And I think it's really important for us to make a distinction there. This is like one of my pet peeves is the world seems to think that we think that last click is a perfect measure of the attribution of a sale. We don't. No one in our industry does. What we believe is that this is how we compensate partners. All compensation models are a little broken, right? Whether it's last view, first view, a third, a third, whatever you want to use, they're all sort of simplifications. We use last click because that's how our industry's been set up. But I believe, and you just said something that I really sparked to a couple of minutes ago, which was we probably are credited for a lot of sales. Yes, we get over credited for transactions probably where we're the last click, but there are also all these other transactions where our impressions are contributing to the success that is being attributed to other channels, right? If we had perfect measurement, I am confident that affiliate would get more money, not less.
yeah, and I think we're starting to see more and more of that, especially as you've seen so many high quality content sites and ranked reviews, and people are really just clamoring for that trusted third party educating consumers about their brand or service or product.
That's a really cool point. There's been a big shift in the way that people buy stuff, right? That because I work as a business owner, one of the things that to me is one of the most vivid differences is that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you were buying software, you couldn't see that software online. You had to contact a salesperson, and that salesperson held the product back like in closely gripped arms because they knew it was the thing that you really wanted. And so you had to go through a sales process of one meeting, two meetings, three meetings before you actually got to look at the product. People won't put up with that anymore. They want to see the product
Yep.
on your site. They want to see an unbiased review. They want to read about it in as if Davis publication or wherever in order to get the skinny. They're not going to contact a salesperson until they're honestly ready to buy something or almost ready to buy it. And I think that's true on the consumer side too, right? That
Yeah.
which has more credibility, a TV ad or a on cosmetics or someone doing a video about how to I don't know. I'm just going to say smoke the
Yeah.
eye because it's the only thing I can think of.
No, it's great. It's great. And I think that, uh, the trust levels of various individuals in our ecosystem has varied. And I think what we're seeing in the data and the trends is that, it's you're not really seeing as much trust from the typical channels and means as you used to. And certainly some brands and corporations have eroded that trust over time. And I think that affiliate done right, influencers done right, is just a perfect mechanism to kind of counter that a little bit. It's one thing if Nike or Apple or someone has like 40 years of really strong built up brand reputation and trust in varying degrees, and nothing's perfect, right? They have their Achilles heels also,
Of course.
and it's a dynamic marketplace where there's new challengers coming in depending on the use case, right? And so it's kind of cool to say here's an ecosystem where you can tap thousands of micro voices or thousands of medium voices or thousands of celebrity voices that are actually able to pay on various models, and a lot of that's available through affiliate marketing.
Absolutely. It's such an exciting time to be in this industry because it isn't all about the final 2 minutes before a transaction, right? When
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
That to me is the key. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I interrupted you.
No, you shared something earlier kind of around your experiences of being in, under the hood of a brand and kind of interacting with the marketing teams and, assessing these various channels. What are some of the examples where it's really gone right and like, CMO, affiliate marketer kind of get it and kind of work to make it a better performing channel versus times when maybe things aren't as well set up and structured properly?
Yeah, I think I'd probably give two examples. The one that I always give is sort of, it's very sad, but it's very it can be kind of funny if you can have a sense of humor about it. But I remember in the late 2000s going into a brand on the East Coast, retail brand, and I worked for an agency and we were pitching their digital business and we went through the whole thing. And one of the things we got to, it's like, well, tell us more about your affiliate program. And everybody in the room looked around like, affiliate program? Like, what's an affiliate program, right? Turns out they had one, but their affiliate manager didn't sit with marketing. She actually sat in accounting. I have no idea why accounting, but that's where they ended up putting her. They didn't know her. A lot of the people kind of vaguely knew her name, but they didn't work with her on a regular basis. And to me, that's an extreme example of how a channel that was at the time driving 5 or 10% of their sales was completely being ignored, right? And I get back to the freak in the corner. Like when we went down to talk to her after this new business pitch, it was like the perfect. What was that movie again? Is it Office Space? Is it Office Space? No.
Yes.
Yeah, Office Space. There was literally a blinking fluorescent light above her, like the bulb needed to be changed, and it was just like the perfect. It was the perfect description of the way that affiliate was treated at that time. Fast forward 10 years, and I've gotten to work with a variety of different direct to consumer brands who have really good data about the quality of customers that their various marketing channels bring in, right? So I think they don't always have the most sophisticated models, but they have a really good sense of who their customers are and the quality of customers that come from different channels. And what we were able to do with their data, and they fully incorporated affiliate into this analysis, was what is the lifetime value of this customer, which products do they buy, do they evangelize for us, etc. And we could really demonstrate the quality of all these different audiences and the interactions between them, so that you thought about the marketing in the context of the customer rather than the channel and the, every channel agency hovering over the big bowl of money that appears during the planning process every year, right? that
Hmm.
that this was a company that really understood, is like, okay, our cost per customer from this channel is a little bit higher, but the value is so much greater that we can make decisions based on that. And I really appreciated what a lot of the DTC brands brought to the retail environment, this level of sophistication and flexibility and lack of preconceived notion about which channels were good and which weren't good.
Yeah, I think like teams that are kind of balancing that, like knowing kind of where their biases lie, being objective about the data. Uh, it's easier said than done, and really getting those systems in place to judge performance as objectively as possible is really not always common. It's nice to see when brands are able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you work with a variety of different kinds of companies, and I feel like sometimes it's like you can sort of almost walk into a room and see the interactions with the people and know whether that company is a siloed one or whether that CMO has really brought in a spirit of marketing integration into a team, right? And more, I would say more and more organizations are doing better on the integration, but there's still a lot of companies where each team is coveting the money in the hands of the other teams rather than thinking about, well, let's focus on our customer and what can serve them best.
Yeah, I would say that was very eye opening for me coming up through my career and observing in house teams and how there was almost a politicking around a lot of these decisions, which isn't shocking. That's kind of part of business and life, but sometimes it would over index on that as you go through the process. And it was a little bit surprising to see kind of how those decisions were made. They weren't always, the most data driven or the most objective
No.
at all.
Well, and I think a lot of times organizations reward the most aggressive team members, right? And I understand the thinking behind that, or the ideas behind that totally makes sense, except that aggressiveness doesn't necessarily mean that you're operating for the good of the brand. And there have been times in my career when, as somebody who's leading marketing, I would say, our little startup only has this much money, right? We need an amazing product more than we need eight more event sponsorships, right? So I'm going to take a
Yeah.
step back and say, hey, focus on product. And then months later, people will be like, well, why didn't you fight more for your money? And it's like, well, because my job is to help grow a business. It's not to grow my own team and fiefdom, right? And I think that that is something that is becoming more and more of the way that lots of brands operate, that it's in their DNA. I hope so. I mean, have you seen that more in the clients that you're working with now versus 5 years ago?
Yeah. I think there's more knowledge and sophistication around some of those pitfalls that brands have gone through in the last, 20, 15, 10, even 5 years. And I think that people are coming into it with a little bit more, I think, product centric view. A lot of um, growth teams have kind of come into product. A lot of performance marketing teams have learned to integrate more effectively with growth and product. Um, I think there's a lot of successful nine-figure brands that have talked a lot about this vocally around. Without really a stellar product, you're not really going to get anywhere close to that scale factor of eight nine figure brand levels in the e-com world and certainly in other worlds. So yeah, I do think it's getting better, and certainly you have your anomalies, but it's encouraging to see. And I think that we've also obviously seen a lot in our experience. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary at Roundbarnlabs, and it's pretty wild to think hundreds of client examples alone in terms of the money spent and the experimentation and the campaigns run and the revenue driven. You learn a ton through that process, and you see a lot of founders, VP of marketings, affiliate managers, directors, and it's pretty fascinating. I mean, that's kind of the spirit of this conversation in the pod, of just always seeking out information and learning and being open minded and learning from great experiences like you, to see like what have you observed. It's been fun, and trying to implement that and document that and formulate that and scale that ourselves has been a fun challenge, and we're certainly getting there.
I love one of the things I love about talking with you is that you have this inherent optimism about the space and the changes in the industry and stuff. And I share optimism, I do. But I also have a pet peeve, and that is I feel like a lot of affiliate people get overlooked for more senior roles in marketing teams, which frustrates me. It happens to other people that are in specialist roles too, like your paid search person. It's relatively rare that a paid search person becomes a CMO. The joke that I make is not really a very funny joke, but I can count on no hands the number of people who started an affiliate who become CMOs. Now, the last time you and I talked, though, you said you could think of one. You could think of one person that did that. And I am just glad I can count on at least one finger now.
Yeah, I had somebody who is pretty respected in the venture community and in the performance marketing community, and a I think respected Silicon Valley exec. We were talking about various roles, and affiliate in particular came up, and he mentioned, like, I've seen a lot of people really be successful in those like high experimentation, high kind of performance focused roles, which is a lot of, I think, what growth became on the marketing side versus the
Mm-hmm.
product side. And I think a lot of good performance marketers and growth people have some, I think, affiliate background because of that scrappy, agile experimentation,
Yes.
multi-channel view. I think there's something to that. Um, you know, Brian Balfour's T-shaped marketer concept is awesome. Description of
Yes.
taking that really deep experience and then moving into other areas that are effective. I thought that was really cool.
Well, and if you think about the skills that make for a good CMO, right? I think affiliate people naturally have most of them, right? The ability to cultivate relationships with others. Well, that's our entire job, right? Number one, the multi-channel openness, I guess you'd say, right? That's definitely about affiliate, because it's certainly not about only one kind of partner or one kind of partnership, right? The ability to work well with other teams. Communication is a key skill in the affiliate and influencer spaces, of course, because you've got to keep your partners well informed, and communication is absolutely critical to making integrated marketing more effective. I think the one area where affiliate people need more experience in training is understanding brand strategy, because it's not something that affiliate people are generally tasked with, right? And so that is a skill that I think people need for senior marketing roles. But at the same time, it's one that can be acquired. And I would hope that good, smart marketing teams are including affiliate people in that kind of training in the future, because it will make the difference both for the affiliate channel, because we know that brand is an important element of this. It's not a deal centric
Yeah,
industry like it used to be. But
yeah,
also, it's the only way that we all can work together is if we speak the same language.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's definitely opportunity to get some good training, get some good mentorship, from available communities, available folks in the space, and maybe add a channel that complements affiliate, and then kind of branch out from there. Maybe it's two, but there's a lot there, I think, from marketing leaders that can counsel folks on that have kind of taken those paths, and it's changing quickly. The whole ecosystem is changing quickly. There's not as much free flowing available resource like it used to be. I think it's getting really folks don't want to add those costs. I think but I think there's also opportunity with emerging things happening quickly. So it's kind of
I think
wild.
you're right. I heard a story once where every 6 months the CMO assembled all the channel leads around a table, and it was a male CMO and the affiliate leader was male, and he started the conversation with who besides John hit his number, and John, of course, was the affiliate person, because affiliate people are reliable and we get shit done. Pardon my French, but like, you tell us to get something done and we will figure out a way to do that. And if that means more partnerships, we'll do that. If that means more focusing on something, we'll do that. And those are the kinds of qualities that senior marketing leaders should want. The challenge in that discussion was John looks great for a couple of minutes because the CMO says, you're a reliable person, and then the rest of the conversation is about TV or display or search, because those are where the problems potentially are in the organization or whatnot. But that affiliate person, the fact that they're reliable and that they deliver, that to me is the most fundamental skill of a good employer and a good leader in an organization, is to deliver on your promises, right? So that person should get more of a CMO's attention, not less.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that affiliate is by its nature multi-channel, if you're truly in having an understanding of a lot of those things, I think it lends itself to be able to become a multi-channel individual. I was able to do some of that internally, and be able to do some cool multi-channel things with a good affiliate foundation. It helped me a lot.
And in your role,
I,
excuse me while I start interviewing you, but in your role, and you're exploring business and you're trying to get more senior manager attention, senior leader attention, how do you go about doing that? Like, what do you think the key is to, what's it been for you? Because I know you have great relationships with senior marketers. That's one of the things that your agency is well known for. I think a lot of agencies would love to have those, but don't, right? So what do you
yeah,
think? What's your
yeah.
secret?
I think just being willing and able to, like, again, have the conversation, be data driven about the presentation of the information, um, not necessarily angling for a particular outcome. I think kind of viewing it as more on the scientific side, right? Like knowing that, like, in the theme of the pod and the theme of how we work at RBL, it's very much like, okay, here's the documented hypotheses. This is what happened. This is the data or the campaign. Here are the learnings and takeaways from that. Did we win or did we learn? And then build on that. Continue to document those learnings, and I think kind of having that transparent, open, palm approach of like, we're not sure if this particular test is going to work, or here's our estimate of what we think it's going to do. How far are we from variant on that? And I think, willingness to win together. It's not necessarily, like you said earlier, about, I was always had an aversion to that kind of like oh, we've got to like build the fiefdom mentality of a lot of companies internally. And I think that was part of one of the reasons why I found that, Roundbarn Labs and being able to be an independent, objective view attractive because, I didn't necessarily have to, um, you know, politic for that fiefdom to be built out and often in ways that weren't necessarily for the greater long term good. I think the other piece is just being very long term view approached around when it comes to relationships, when it comes to maintaining and um, the honest, collaborative positivity of relationships and such. So I think that is important, like the data, and then just being willing to educate. Like, hey, a lot of people come into this having all kinds of preconceived notions of what affiliate is. I think the nature of it is understandably sort of confusing. Google's complex to some extent when you look under the hood, but it's also simple when you think about it in some ways because you log in, you've got your campaigns, you got your ad
Click or
groups,
no
you got your
click.
keywords, you've got you've got your known attribution. It's one source basically. Granted, it becomes massive and large when you get into it all with, but in some ways, it's easier for people to probably kind of visualize that. And you think about unleashing an army of marketers for your brand, that gets scary for brands. And I think the world has somehow caught up to that notion and now it's like, okay, we really need to embrace this because that's what's happened to the world in some ways. The
Yes.
gatekeepers are no longer as controlled as they used to be. Yes, they are. Yes, to some extent they are. Yes, you need your meta ads dialed in really well. Yes, you need your Google, paid search strategy dialed in really well, of course. But I think it's fascinating that it's kind of like this combination of the channel has gotten better, but it's also things have changed a little bit to kind of help the channel out.
I think you're absolutely right. I think about the way that brands get developed, and when I started was pre-digital in marketing, and I worked in CPG, which was the most orthodox marketing uh, available, at least at the time, right? And our approach typically was, let's create a demo, right? So three temperatures, one detergent, or whatever it is, right? And burn it into people's heads. And so we're going to spend $12 million a year and we're going to do daytime and early fringe because we can air millions and millions of commercials. And after a while, people will know not to squeeze the Charmin or whatever it is, the Tidy Bowl Man or whatnot. Right? Marketing is so fundamentally different now that I think repetition is actually a bad thing for brands because it makes your marketing invisible and it makes your brand annoying, right? And those are really important considerations these days. You have to have an affinity or a positive connection to a brand. So what I tell people now when I like do a guest lecture in a class or whatever, it's vividness that matters, not repetition, right? It's what is that one experience that's going to stick in your head forever as something that was amazing. And I use the Domino's pizza tracker as an example of that. The first time I saw the pizza tracker, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Why is it cool? I can't really even explain it, right? Do I really need to know exactly where my pizza is along this path, right? But that experience was so vivid and the desire for information was so great that it made me like Domino's more, right? Um, a lot more than a bunch of $6.99 medium pizza ads, which I'm sure they spend a lot more money on. I
It's
just think
so funny you
brands.
say that. You nailed it because I was just listening to Nine Figure Operators Pod, and they were talking about aided versus unaided awareness, and we've been there and had to deal with that before. Whether you're running lift tests or polling customers and all these things, but it was the exact same point. I was listening to it this morning about how that depth of engagement, that the aha factor is such a bigger important variable than like, well, did you reach Jane or John Doe? That's like, okay, you reached them, but like, was it compelling? So I think you nailed that in your assessment.
And it's funny because if you watch, I don't have a cable subscription anymore, so I don't see it very much. But when I go to my mom's house, I'll watch TV, and it's Ozempic all friggin' day, right? or whatever other drug ad there might be, because it seems like pharma continues to operate in a fairly traditional way, and part of that I think is because of the rules that broadcast is one-way TV, and if you're a
Hmm.
pharmaceutical company and you put an ad in social and someone says, "Oh, this product turned my nose blue," I believe that pharmaceutical company is now obligated to find out whether their product turns a nose blue, right? And with TV, you just send the messages out there, right? And you just blast away. And that's
That
just
would
not the
explain it.
way. I just don't think that's the way that you do things. Nor
Yeah,
is being number one or the best or the biggest what people want anymore. I think people want like more of a sense of bespoke experience and customization. And you get that more from digital and from recommendations than you ever could with a big primetime
totally.
TV schedule.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Your story. Tell us your champagne story. You kind of mentioned kind of with the CMO.
Oh, one of the things we tried to do at Partnerize, again, this it is a pet peeve of mine that affiliate people don't rise in organizations like they should. And so one of the things that we tested at Partnerize was this one brand had done something absolutely, the affiliate leader had done something amazing. It took a huge amount of work, was there like nights and weekends to make it happen. The program came, the results were amazing, and we wanted them to get credit for what had happened. And we asked, what's the organization saying about the program? And they weren't saying anything, because it's just, yet another example of affiliate delivering. And so what we did, we bought a bottle of champagne and two wine glasses, or champagne glasses. We sent the champagne and one glass to the CMO at the company, and we sent the other glass to the affiliate manager. We told the CMO they needed to go find out what Jane, or whatever the person's name was, Jane had done. And of course, the
Love
CMO
it.
was like, "Well, this is kind of interesting. You get credit for weird in marketing, right?" And so
Yeah,
took the
got to
champagne
stand out.
bottle, went to glass, and found Jane and said, "What's going on?" And she got to tell that story. And then afterwards said, like, it's completely changed the way that the CMO thinks about me and about this channel. That you could do something that's really cool, that feels like it's building a brand and not subsidizing the users or whatever
Hmm.
other, frankly, lie is
Hmm.
being told about our industry. We have to
Yeah,
do vivid things like that, and I think we have to be aggressive about it, right? I think that, you know, I, um, there, to me, after a while, there's like kind of two kinds of people in affiliate. There's like people who are super, super passionate about what they're doing and trying to find new things and do new things and stuff. And then there is a group of people in affiliate who are perfectly happy operating in a niche channel because no one bothers them. And, it's a lifestyle job. It becomes that, right? What my fear is that lots of the people that are in the aggressive bucket over time sort of learn to be in the lifestyle bucket because they don't feel like they have other options, right? And part of it
yeah,
is that we as an industry have to say, no, that's not right. Or look, this is what happened, right? Why are you're saying you don't want to do affiliate. Wouldn't you rather buy your fashion magazine ads on a pay per performance basis than a CPM basis, because it's the same publication? Well, like, why wouldn't you want to do these things? And we have to own the language. We have to own
yeah,
the perception, and the only way to do that is to say, no, that is not what happened. This is what happened.
yeah,
But if we apologize, then people think there's something wrong.
yeah.
I
No, I
don't know.
think
Maybe
there's
I'm
a
getting a little too
no.
passionate
I
about it.
like it. I like it. It's
You know.
provocative. Will increase the ratings for our lovely podcast. But no, people, we need to be defend and be vocal and open and have the conversation and show the data and let people and make a case. That's kind of part of what all of this is about. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, if I hear one more, like, one of the things that used to drive me crazy at Partnerize was when clients would tell us, like, well, we want to do affiliate, but we don't want to do cashback or coupons. And it's like, okay, I understand the point of view and where you're coming from, but I don't agree, because I think you're going to lose out on a lot of the opportunities in affiliate. And the reason I don't agree is because you're assuming that affiliate is the only channel where someone might have paid full price but got a coupon to deliver it. When was the
Yeah.
last time you walked into a store and there wasn't a 25% off sign, right? All sales subsidize users. Everything does, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is, do we, to a greater extent than other channels? I'd argue we don't. We can do
Well,
an 8% cashback offer and get a great sales response. Try save 8% in a retail store, right? Like if it's
and
not 25, you're not going to care. Sorry, I'm talking over you.
when we run, no, when we run programmatic or we run TV, we don't say like, I want to uh, not target anyone that's loyal to particular communities, or I want to not target anyone that is very sale focused. I mean, certainly there's occasions where you want to be, very careful and probably over index on the content and review and high quality publications out there. But I think having a diverse mix and then really pricing them effectively and then really monitoring the performance, because sometimes you're surprised. Sometimes occasions matter. Sometimes you need to, move inventory. There's a lot of, specific details of use cases where it might make sense for some brands. Some brands it may not. I think that people are a little too dogmatic about certain things, like you were saying earlier, and I think that's part of that. Um, Being open minded, get going with the data, and then once that data is kind of in, being willing and able to make that decision and make that recommendation is what it's all about. So I like what you're thinking.
I think visual proof is important too. Like one of the things when people used to say, I don't like cashback and coupons, I would always respond, why not? It's like, well, our brand is a premium brand. Premium brands don't do this sort of stuff. And I was always thrilled when they said that because I made this little video of the front page of rewards, Rakuten Rewards, on Black Friday when and on that in that little video, Neiman Marcus was there, Chanel was there, Saks was there, Bergdorf's had a coupon, right? And so, like,
Hmm.
you really think that your brand is so much better than and so much more elite than Bergdorf's? And if it is, great, good for you. Then affiliate probably isn't for you. But if if you target normal human beings, they're going to want a deal, and they're especially going to want a deal on a day when everyone else has a deal. And so, why wouldn't you
I
program it
love
that
it.
way?
I love it. Yeah, you kind of need that. Jim, what are some references or books or things that kind of inspired you or changed your thinking on things?
So, one I think is pretty ordinary. I loved Ogilvy on Advertising. I still love it's a book that's from I think the 70s or the 80s,
So good.
and really talks about the way that you define that single overarching idea that separates a brand. And this is something that I think a lot of affiliate people just need more education on, right? Like we think of campaigns, sometimes it'll be like, oh, it's the blue campaign or the orange campaign. And they're exactly the same ads and they say exactly the same thing. They're just different colors. Those aren't campaigns and those aren't ideas. What that book really helps you learn is what is an idea and what is the kind of idea that is going to stick in people's heads. So I'm a huge believer in that one. The example that is a little bit stranger, I think, is there's a book about Lincoln's cabinet, as strange as this is. So, President Lincoln's cabinet and how he managed all of the different interest groups in that government, which were legion during a war, in order to get everybody to work together. And many of his cabinet members hated each other and were furious at each other all the time. But he found this common ground. The book is called Team of Rivals. This common ground between individuals, and said, you know what, you may hate each other, but you have this in common, right? And it's also something I wish that everyone in our current government would read. It's like figure out ways to work together, whether or not you hate each other. Just figure it out, right? And to me,
Yep.
affiliate people, in order to get the respect that they deserve in organizations, need those skills, need to be able to say, look, I'm here to help, right? One of the things that I get asked a lot about is like, how can affiliate take a greater role in influencer marketing if it's actually being controlled by a PR agency or a PR team, right? And to me, it's going in there and saying, I have a genuine interest in helping you measure the effectiveness of this channel, right? Whether you manage it or I manage it, there's a way that you can do that right now. And I can show you
Yep.
how to do that. And when you're playing a positive role for people, that trust builds, right? And
Yep.
that again is that senior management skill. that is going to help more fingers appear on my no hand of CMOs that started in
I love
affiliate.
it. I love it. The fingers, it's going to keep growing as we go through the pod. I love that example. We actually have a little blog post about that book and how that kind of was emulated on our team. We put that out years ago with Mike and myself, talking about Team of Rivals and talking about being able to have, strong opinions loosely held, and kind of attacking the concepts or notions of data rather than individuals. And it's a really great reminder, I think, to teams, and I think teams that have really smart, passionate people. And it's a really awesome reminder for everybody.
And we don't, we operate in this purist world where, like, if we don't win everything, we lose. And it's like,
Yeah.
we just have to bring back compromise in
Yeah.
our
I
worlds
like
and
that.
collaboration, because if we don't, we are doomed, right?
Yeah.
Because no one can have
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
affiliate people, I think, instinctively know this. And to me, one of the best characteristics of this industry is that it's win win win, right? The brand wins, the partner wins, the consumer wins. And if when we get that balance right, this category is scalable, it's repeatable, it can be huge, it can be the most efficient, etc. When one of those interests has too much power in the mix, it doesn't work anymore. And so that I love about this industry, right, is that ultimately fairness is rewarded, right?
Yeah.
And who doesn't want
Yeah.
to work in that, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I love that. Fairness is rewarded. So many good like one-liners from you throughout this. What's a fun, silly, anything that folks maybe don't know about you that is something about Jim that people in
Oh,
the audience
Jesus.
might not know?
Um, every year I don't know if this is really fun, but every year I have a cause in my head, and I spend like 20% of my time trying to further that cause, right? And so last year my cause was about um, improving measurement accuracy, and like one of the flags that I carried was for the team at Moonpool, because I think they're doing some really interesting things with regard to uh, ensuring that your tracking and tagging and so forth is all accurate. For me, this year is really about helping affiliate leaders get the respect that they deserve. And I don't know how I'm going to do that, but damn it, at the end of the year, affiliate people are going to get more respect in organizations as a result of this. I really want to finally move the needle on some of these ridiculous things that we've been wringing our hands about in meetings, like, oh, the CMOs don't understand us or respect us. It's like, well, you know what? They ain't going to change. So you have to change. You can change you, but you can't change them. So you have to change so
Yeah.
that they need to take those considerations. So
Yeah.
I think
I
maybe people think that I'm like all sweetness, because a lot of people I think do think that, but like these things really to just kind of chap my ass that great people
yeah.
that I know in this industry don't get the same opportunities as other people do, and damn it, we're going to make it happen.
I love it. That's amazing, Jim. That's an awesome kind of as we wind down, just like such a great call out to you and just taking those causes and educating people about, look, this is an industry that deserves respect, deserves to have a seat at the table, and at least be in the conversation for sure. And I love where your head's at with that.
Well, and part of it I think is that I'm just older, right? Like the average age at these events is like 35, and I'll be 60 in May,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not trying to become king anymore, but I would love it if people that I love and respect could become kings and queens. I really would. And
I
that to
love
me
that.
is a worthy cause, right? So
I
that's
love
me.
that. What a great way to do it. I think a little bit of this conversation is helping. I think a lot of the work you're doing is certainly helping, and a lot of the folks you've impacted is helping. It's a good small but mighty community that I think you're doing the right thing to be elevating.
It's like we can do it. We really can. But we can't expect other people to do it. And we can't expect it to happen outside our own organizations. And I'm not
That's
saying
right.
be a whiny, like squeaky wheel all the time, right? But a little squeaking is good, right? It's
Yeah.
like a little, everybody makes fun of Karens, right? Like that's become the term, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, the world needs a Karen now and then. to
Yeah.
kick some butts, right? And
You got
say,
to
no,
be,
that's not the way it's going to operate anymore. We're going to do it this way, and we're going to do it because I said so, and it's the right thing.
there you go.
Anyway,
There you go.
sorry,
Be loud
I'm
and
off my
proud.
soapbox.
I love it. I love it. And hey, we're going to continue to do that on this show. We're going to continue that with you. We're going to be at PI Live in Miami doing that. I've
Awesome.
got a fun guest coming on then, and I think we're headed in that direction. So I
Yeah,
love
if
it.
anybody watching this sees me at PI Live, please come over and let's figure out a strategy to help you and help this agency or this organization um, and these individuals in it get the respect that they deserve because you deserve it. And
Yeah,
until we take it, it's not going to happen.
I like it, and I think you're kind of offering the community, you and others are available to, and me included. We're available to help affiliate marketing experts navigate the playing field, navigate the space, and chart their path to
Yeah.
leadership, as you said, Jim.
Well, and this podcast is a part of that. And I want to thank you for having me on. It's been
Heck yeah,
a great pleasure.
I appreciate it. And hey, we're both fans of books and rodeo. So what are you gonna you gotta kind of
There you
keep us.
go. There you go. I'll even bring my hat to Florida so people can spot me. There
I
you go.
think that's a good plan. I think that's a good plan. I might have some ideas for some fun attire things
If you
going
see
on
us
in PI
together,
Live.
then that's definitely the time to talk about how to raise your own
Yeah,
profile and raise the profile of this industry.
there you
Well,
go.
thanks again.
Thank you so much, Jim. You're
All right.
awesome. It's been a pleasure. You nailed it, and we'll see you in Miami.
I'll talk to you soon.